Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marta and today I will be playing a little bit with the new mini palette by Juvia, which is called The Berries. And I do also have the violet palette and I will just be swatching both of them just so that you can see how these colors look on very fair skin tone, because as you can see I'm very very fair in my skin tone, and then obviously these shadows will look quite a lot darker on my skin than they will on someone of a deeper complexion. But I honestly really like darker shades, so I'm really happy to have these palettes, because even though this is not really a transition shade for me, I really do like how the colors are looking. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and swatch them, and I will just swatch the berry palette first. So I will just take 3 and 3 shadows and I will just start here. Okay, so I see that the darker mattes and also the lighter purple mattes, they do not swatch good at all. But for example, this one, it's basically the same formula as this one, and this one applied so beautifully to the eye. And I do feel like this is the case with other Juvia's palettes as well, that the mattes don't necessarily swatch the best. Like these swatch amazing though, the pinks, but they all perform really beautifully normally. So I can't promise anything for the purple palette because I haven't used it yet, but at least that's my experience with their formulas. And I do feel like both of these palettes, they do go very well together. So I wanted initially to make a look using both of them, but I just felt like it would be too much for today. But you can definitely use these together and they're very beautiful. So now that I have swatched both of the palettes, I will just go ahead and show you how I achieved this look using all of these first shades from the Berries palette. I just applied my Makeup Revolution concealer in the shade C1, and I think I will just go in with what seems to be the darkest shade in the palette right here in the corner. And I don't know how easy these pick up. Usually they're not super loose. Yeah, so I think this is fine for to start with. And I'm just making sure that it's no creasing on my eyelid, and then I'm starting to pack it down here. I do have a little bit of staining from yesterday because I used the Melt Smoke Sessions palette, the mattes from that palette. They have stained a little bit, but I don't think it's anything that's gonna be a problem. And wow, that is so pigmented. So I'm just adding a little bit more on my brush, and I'm moving a little bit more closer to the inner corner. And as I always do, I make sure that when I look forward that I still have the deepest, like that the shade is really visible and that you can still like see the edge where it's the deepest color. And then it's blended out above that. I'm not cleaning my brush or anything, but I want to go in with this a little bit more warmer toned pinky purpley shade, and I will just do the exact same that I just did, just on my inner corner. I was just using my Kaleidos S3 brush, but now I'm going into the S5 brush. It's a way smaller blending brush, and I'm just packing on that last shade that I used underneath my lower lash line. And I'm using my Juvia's Place concealer today, and it does crease a little bit on me. I don't know if that's typical for this concealer because I don't have the same problem with my Tarte Shape Tape, but that means I will just have to blow out my lower lash line a little bit more than I maybe anticipated to. But I don't really mind that. So when I have packed on most of the color that I have on my brush, I'm just blending it down. And shades like these are very, very pigmented, so you don't really need much when you're blending out. With the same brush that I just used, I'm going in with the top shade here in the middle. It's the palest shade, I think, in this palette. So I'll just use that as a transition shade to be able to blend the shadows a little bit better. Now I'm just taking a clean blending brush with some setting powder, and I'm just making sure that my wet concealer base is set closer to the eyebrow so that I don't drag the shadow way too far up, and then there's basically no going back if you pat it down on a wet base. But it's a little bit easier to blend it out when you have already set your base. And then I'm just going in with that same small blending brush, and I just took the darkest shade and I'm just going to work a little bit on the edges of the darkest shadow here. So I'm relatively happy with this. I might do some more blending afterwards, but now I'll just go ahead and do my other eye. Okay, so this eye is not as good as this one, but I will just go with it because these are very pigmented shades, so to try to blend them out even more might just make it even worse. So I really want to go in with this very, very bright pink as well, because this one is like screaming my name. So I think what I will do is I will just sort of just overlap the inner corner shadow that I have here, just to make it a little bit more of a brighter look. I mean, it is very bright already, but I want even more brightness. So I'm just taking this brush right here. It looks a little bit like the first one that I used. It is clean because I cleansed it with my color switch right here. It just is a little bit stained. So I will just take a little bit of this, not much at all. tapping a little bit on the edge so I can control where I put the shadow. And I'm basically just going to pat it on here. This shade has a little bit of micro glitter in it, but it's basically just flying around. It's not really sticking to the lid. But I feel like that added a nice depth of color, like a little bit more brightness. So I will just go ahead and do the same thing on my other eye, and then we'll go ahead with some shimmer shadows. And by the way, I did try to like point a little bit here on my lower lash line, just because I want a white to pink duochrome as my inner corner, and I want to blow it out a little bit. So that's just the reason why I place my shadow like that. For my lid, I will just be going in with this bottom shimmer here first on my outer corner, and then I will go in with the other one on the top right here for my inner corner of the lid. And then I will just blend the white to pink duochrome that I'm going to use as my inner corner highlight on top of the lid as well, just to make a bit more of a gradient from dark to light. Okay, so I can see the shadow a little bit when placing it down, but I think I will have to spray it just to make it more opaque. So I'm just going to use my MAC Fix Plus. So I see some of the fallout has like set a little bit right here, but I mean it's not that visible, it's just I see it and it's a little bit annoying. But at least for the next time I might just do my eyeshadow first before doing my base. But I really love how this highlight is looking, both as an inner corner highlight and on my cheeks. It's so beautiful and almost like a natural pink glow. So I'm just going to blend a little bit more because I kind of see a line right here. So I'm just going to take that lightest shade and I'm just going to go over the lines, honestly. And the eyeshadow look is basically done. So I will just do the blending, put on some lipstick, mascara, and I think I will do some white liner on my waterline, and I will just be using my Linda Hallberg crayon in the shade White Core. That is how my finished look using the Berry palette by Juvia turned out, and I do really like it. I think that a lot of the shadows are kind of similar, but then again it's a Berry palette, so, and if you do want more purpley pink tones, then this is a perfect palette. And I really love that they are coming out with smaller palettes, because I feel like that's way more inspiring. So for example, if you know that you want a look with these kinds of colors, then you just go straight to this palette instead of going through all of your other palettes looking for the same colors. So yeah, all in all, I really like how they performed as well. It's the usual Juvia's Place formula to me. The mattes are super pigmented, they build very nicely on top of each other, they blend beautifully, and yeah, I like the color selection here. So the shimmers are very pretty because they're actually duochrome, which I really also like. I feel like brands should get more duochromes or multichromes in their palettes, just because that makes them way more unique than just a regular shimmer shadow. So for my lips, I ended up using my Kaleidos Makeup Lip Tonic, and I used it in the shade Immersion, which is sort of like a mauve type of shade, and I just applied 2 layers because it's such a lightweight formula, and it did apply beautifully with 2 layers. And then I also used 2 of my lip liners from LA Girl. I have this new one in the shade Rose, which is a very like berry toned lip liner, and then I used this one, which is the LA Girl lip liner in the shade Keep It Spicy. So this one is a way more neutral shade, so I just felt like those would combined make a beautiful berry but also a little bit neutral kind of color. If you liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you think of this look, and if you want the palette or if you already have it. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Thanks for watching. Bye!